Hello everyone, welcome to webinar session on excise for dealers and central sales tax. I am Anita from Tally, will be presenting this session. So to begin with, we shall start with excise for dealers. So we shall see excise for dealers in Tally ERP 9. Excise for dealers in Tally ERP 9. So first, we shall know what is excise. So as you have it, excise is an indirect tax which is a centralized tax which is applicable on goods that is being produced within our boundaries of our country. So it is an indirect tax applicable on the goods. If it is services, then service tax would be applicable. And when we come to this excise, there are three types of registration in excise. Could be a manufacturer, dealer or an importer. So here we shall, in this session, we shall learn about excise for dealers, who is a dealer and what are the various provisions and rules applicable for this dealer and how to maintain accounts for excise for dealers in Tally. So to begin with, who is a dealer? So here the meaning is first stage dealer. As per rule 2 IJ of 10 lakh credit rules, one who purchases directly from manufacturer, depot, agent of manufacturer or purchases from importer. And second stage dealer under rule 2 is one who purchases from first stage dealer. So we come to know that in excise dealer there are two types of dealer. The first one is a first stage dealer and the next is a second stage dealer. The first stage dealer is a person who directly purchases goods from manufacturer or manufacturer's depot or agent of manufacturer or from importer. When a person is purchasing excisable goods from this nature, from this sources, he is termed to be as a first stage dealer. And the next one is second stage dealer. The second stage dealer is a person who purchases goods whose source of procurement is from first stage dealer. We term as a second stage dealer. We proceed with the next slide. Any dealer can issue excise invoice. So what is excise invoice? The first thing here, it is written as any dealer can issue excise invoice. So what is excise invoice? Invoice, we understand, it is a documentary evidence supporting a transaction. Similarly, an excise invoice is a documentary evidence that is being supporting a excise transaction, but one specific nature of this excise invoice is that in case of excisable goods, when the excisable goods are sold, only excise on the basis of excise invoice, the CENVAT credit can be availed. Okay, so that we call it as an excise invoice, and it is different from the normal invoice. Okay, the excise invoice is the invoice that is being issued when the excisable goods are being sold, on the strength of which the CENVAT credit can be availed. So here it is written under Rule 9 of Central Excise, only those goods registered under Central Excise can issue Rule 11 invoice. So under Rule 9 of Central Excise, the persons who are registered under Central Excise, only those persons are eligible to issue a Rule 11 invoice. We call the excise invoice as Rule 11 invoice. It will be in a different format from the normal invoice and it will contain all the tax details. So later in the product walkthrough, I shall show you how the Rule 11 invoice, the format would be. The next one is, can dealers charge excise duty? So we came to know in excise there is a manufacturer as well as a dealer. So here the question is, can a dealer charge excise duty? Is the dealer eligible to charge excise duty? The answer is no. Because since a dealer is acting a middleman between manufacturer and customer, he cannot charge excise duty. So here the dealer is not involving in any production of goods. He is just a middleman, a source of transfer of goods from the producer to the consumer. Hence, he is not entitled to charge any duty. This will also reduce the cascading effect of taxes. And the next one, he has to pass on the duty. Now the question is, what will happen to the duty that he has paid while purchasing, right? So he can give the credit, he can pass on the duty, whatever he has paid while purchasing, to the next person in the chain. But he will not charge anything additional to the duty what he has paid, right? So excise dealer will have only the right to transfer the duty. He will not have rights or eligibility for charging excise duty. The next one, can a dealer import? Can an excise dealer import the goods? Yes, he can import the goods. He can do self-import. He can also do pending clearance, and also he has a provision of conditionally passing on special excise duty. A special excise duty is an additional duty on imports. An excise dealer, when he is importing the goods, and when that imported goods are sold to the next subsequent dealer, he will have the option to pass on that additional duty or else not retain it, or else he will have an option whether to pass on or not. So that we call it as conditional passing on of special excise duty. So if the dealer can take an option, he can decide if he is going to pass on the duty to the next dealer, next subsequent dealer, or else he can have an option of taking credit or reimbursement and not passing on the duty. So that we call it as conditional passing on of special excise duty. Different nature of purchases and buys. So the next one is different nature of purchases and buys. So when we saw the first slide, we got the meaning of a dealer from a certain nature of purchases. We classified a person as a first stage dealer and a second stage dealer based on his source of purchases, right? So now we will see what are the different sources of purchase or different nature of purchases applicable, available in excise for dealers. So the list is here. The first one is a manufacturer. So the name itself suggests that a manufacturer is a person who is producing the goods. So person producing the goods, we will call him as manufacturer. So the next one is agent of manufacturer. Agent of manufacturer is a person who acts as a consignment agent for the manufacturer, and he will raise the sales bill for the next. He will be raising the sales bill for a subsequent customer. Okay. So here the agent of manufacturer is a consignment agent who will be selling the goods on behalf of the manufacturer, and he will also issue the invoice for the next subsequent dealer. The next type of purchase is manufacturer depot. Manufacturer depot, we will select this nature of purchases when the goods are being purchased from a depot, the storage or warehouse of a manufacturer. Even that warehouse will be registered. The next is from agent of manufacturer. When you see here, there is one nature of purchase from the agent of manufacturer, another one is from agent of manufacturer. There is only a slight difference between the two. Agent of manufacturer will be a consignment agent, and he will issue the sales bill to the subsequent seller. And from the agent of manufacturer, this nature of purchases will be selected when you are purchasing from a commission agent who is working under the manufacturer. That commission agent will only issue a commercial invoice to the subsequent dealer, and he will pass on the rule and invoice that he has got it from the manufacturer. So that person we will call it as from the agent of manufacturer. And next we have from the first stage dealer. So first stage dealer and second stage dealer we have already seen. So first stage dealer is a person who is purchasing goods from manufacturer or is importing the goods. We will call him as first stage dealer. And from the agent of dealer. From agent of dealer it is similar to from the agent of manufacturer, that is this person would be a commission agent under the dealer. And next we have second stage dealer. Second stage dealer is a person who is purchasing goods from the first stage dealer and selling. And then we have importer. Importer, you would select this nature of purchases when the goods are being imported by a dealer. And if the goods are purchased from an importer, then the nature of purchases would become purchases from importer. Okay. So when we are making a purchase transaction, it is specifically we should be sure with this nature of purchases, because as of purchases, the title of the invoice would be obtained in the sales. Okay, and the details of nature of invoice will be available in the rule 11 invoice that is being received from the dealer. The title will be provided in the rule 11 invoice. So we'll move to the next slide. Features of excise for dealers. So what are the feature benefits of excise dealers? Okay, in Tally, manage multiple dealer units in a single company. When we take an excise dealer, they would be making excise with multiple excise registrations. When we take a company, it may also be a dealer, it may also be a manufacturer, or one particular company may have two units. Hence, two registrations would be obtained. But accounting will happen in one company, but for excise purpose and storage of goods will be in two different places. So that in order to maintain this, the separate units should be maintained in single company. That provision will be available in Tally. The next one is track item history of excisable goods. So here, when you are purchasing the goods, you should track the history of goods, because the first one could be the dealer will pass on the duty. So he should have a clear track of duty available with him, duty that is being paid by purchasers. And also, in the sales transaction, the title of the invoice would depend on the nature of purchases. Even for this, the item history is very much important, and Tally gives you flexibility. It's very simple. It will give you option to track the purchases to the sales. And next, we have manage custom clearance. So custom clearance will happen when the goods are being imported. When the goods are imported from different countries, it would be in the bonded warehouse, and the excise dealer, after paying the customs duty, can get the clearance of such goods. And that goods can be cleared at one shot, or it can be partially also cleared. Next is excise regulatory norms. Okay, so central excise, as you know, there will be strict rules and regulations. So these regulatory norms are being met in Tally. And next we have excise, statutory and MIS reports. So on maintaining excise for dealers, you would also get excise reports, statutory reports and MIS reports from Tally. So these are the feature benefits of maintaining excise for dealers in Tally. We'll move on to the next slide. Excise regulation norms. So one of the sub points we discussed here, the feature benefits of meets excise regulatory norms. So next slide we will know what are those regulatory norms. The first one is generate rule 11 invoice with appropriate invoice titles, that is sales made to excise dealer, sales made to manufacturer. When a rule 11 invoice is being generated, then in that rule 11 invoice, the title of the invoice should be appropriate. For example, when the purchase is done from a manufacturer, and if I am selling it, I would become a first stage dealer. So in invoice title, it should be displayed as first stage dealer. And the second one is sales made to manufacturer, that is when generate commercial invoice for sales made to customers of subsequent dealers. When the sales are made to the end customer or to subsequent dealer, in that scenario, rule 11 invoice will not be issued, commercial invoice will be issued, because those people will not be claiming any sell-back credit. Even this provision is being available in Tally. Okay, so now we shall begin with the product walkthrough. I shall show you how to enable excise in Tally, what are the various masters required for excise transactions, and how to make excise purchases and sales. And then we shall also see about multiple excise units in Tally. So these flow, we shall continue now. Okay, to begin with, I will create a company, excise for dealers. Okay, you can provide the details in the company alteration screen. I will go to begin with, we shall see how to enable excise in Tally. So excise is one of the company features, so statutory features, and it should be enabled from S11 features. So I'll go to S11, I'll go to statutory and taxation. Here we do have an option, enable excise. I'll set this option to yes, and then I'll get set or alter excise details. Okay. So I'll make this option also to yes. So it will ask me for the registration type. So my company is being registered as a dealer, so I'm selecting the registration type as dealer. And it is asking for the address. So these details are not mandatory to provide at the time of creation, but only if it is being given, these details will get captured in the challan, forms, and invoices and returns that are generated in Tally. So I'll specify the address. Okay, I'll specify PIN code, I can give it down. Telephone number, excise registration code, that is ECC number. This will be 15-digit PAN derived number, where first 10 digits would be company's PAN number, and next 2 digits would be XD, denoting excise for dealer, and followed by subsequent 3 digits company. And then I'll specify the date of registration, importer exporter code, excise book name. I'll give the excise book name. So why is this required? When any excisable goods is being moved from the warehouse or from the factory, that will be maintained in a register, which will be serially numbered. So that book we can also create it in Tally, wherein every sales transaction would be serially numbered with a specific excise serial number. So I'll create an excise book. I'll give the name as book 1. You can specify the company's range, division, and commissionerate under which this particular excise registration is being taken. So I've created an enabled excise, and excise book is being created now. So next we shall proceed with excise master creation. So the masters that we require for maintaining excise in Tally is, the first one is tariff classification, stock items, ledgers, and voucher type. These are the 4 masters that are being required. I can go to accounts info or inventory info and create this master, or else I can also go to quick setup in Tally, where I can create the master. The options are the same, but in quick setup it will be easy and quicker to create it if there are multiple masters. So I'll go to quick setup, I'll go to excise book dealer. In quick setup all the taxation modules will be listed. So I've selected excise for dealer. So here the first option is creating excise establishment or factory. So this has already been done. We had done it from S11 statutory features. If it is not done in that screen, we can also do it from here. It is just an alternative. The next one is tariff classification. So I can either go here and create a tariff classification, or else from gateway of Tally, I can go to inventory info, tariff classification, and create it from here. Okay, it is the same screen. If you have single masters, you can create it from here. If you have numerous masters, creating one by one would take much time. So in order to reduce the work, you can also go to quick setup. And also one more benefit of quick setup is the masters to be created will be in order, so that step by step you can proceed. So I'll create one tariff classification. I'll create it as coils, HSN code. So before this, I shall explain you what is tariff classification. Here, tariff classification. The name itself suggests that we are going to classify something. The explanation is given as classification of goods as per the Central Excise Tariff Act, with a unique 8-digit code for all excisable goods. The right tariff will determine the applicable rate for the particular good. Okay. The tariff classification. This is one of the forms of classifying the stock item. Each and every good will be classified with a specific name, and this would be used to find out the rate of duty. The rate of tax would be derived based on the tariff classification, and also the Central Excise Tariff Act of 1985. There was a Central Excise Tariff Act which was passed in the year 1985. It classifies all the goods under a particular classification that we call it as HSN, that is Harmonized System of Nomenclature. So here all the goods are being classified under 91 chapters. Okay, so the CETA Act, that is Central Excise Tariff Act of 1985, will classifies all the stock items under 91 chapters with a specific code assigned to each item. Okay, this particular code, the HSN code, it will be of 8 digits. The first 4 digits will be chapter and heading, next 2 digits will be subheading, and the next subsequent 2 digits will be sub-heading. Okay, so like this, the 8-digit HSN code is being derived. Okay, I'll repeat it again. HSN means Harmonized System of Nomenclature. This particular thing is a 8-digit code that is being given to every stock item, where first 4 digits will be chapter and heading, next 2 digits is subheading, and the next 2 other digits is sub-heading. So here we shall see creation of tariff classification. So creating a classification as follows: used for excise, and the number of digits is 8. Okay. It is being created like this. If you have multiple, you can create it one by one from the same screen. The next one is stock item creation. So I can go from here and create it, or else I can go to inventory info, stock item, create. I create a stock item, iron coil, and then I have to create one unit of measure. This company doesn't have unit of measure, so I am pressing Alt C to create it. Number, common name is number. I give some decimal places and save it. So after I do it, you can see my cursor moves to tariff classification field. So in this tariff classification, the classification that is being created will be displayed. If you do not have any classification, again here you can press Alt C and you can create your classification. So I'll go to coil, sector holder excise details, I'll make it as S. So here it is asking for reporting UIM. So this reporting UIM is, when we see each person, each business will have its own way of dealing with the items. They will quantify or they will identify the items with different units. It may be with pieces, boxes, numbers, dozens, etc. But when we come to central excise, when you are purchasing or selling any central excise item, that would be with a specific UIM, that is unit of measure. So this is a list of unit of measures that is being provided by central excise department. Like we have 10 grams, 1000 kilowatt hour, like this, etc. Numbers, tons, like this. These are the identified list of unit of measures. So I will select units, numbers from here, and I'll make set and order duty details to here. And next it comes to the screen of duty details screen. So in this duty details screen, for duty calculation, it is asking two things here. One is ad phantom, another one is ad valorem. So what is the difference between these two? So this, it is a stock item duty specifying scale. So here, what is the significance of this option is, when you select an ad phantom, you can specify the rate of duty per unit of the stock item. Okay? Like when I take one number, I can specify the basic excise duty is 20 rupees for 1 unit of this item sold. So that is ad phantom. And when we come to ad valorem, this is on the value of the goods. A certain percentage of duty will be charged on the value of the goods, so that we call it as ad valorem. So I'll go to ad valorem. So you might be aware by now that is excise duty, if it is purchased within the boundaries of a country, you will have basic excise duty of 12%, education cess of 2%, and secondary education cess of 1%. You can configure it from here. Apart from this, we also do have many items, many nature of excise duty classifications, like when you see additional duty on imports, AED on GSI, that is additional excise duty on goods of special importance. So like that, there are many types of duties and it will be applicable on certain items, specific items. So generally note would be basic excise duty 12%, education cess 2%, secondary education cess 1%. Okay, when we select this, you can also see there is something called countervailing duty, education cess on countervailing duty, and secondary education cess on countervailing duty. This will be applicable only if goods are imported. So later I will show you how to record import of transactions in Tally. In that we will be using the CVD. We will be using CVD. So I will say this. I have created a stock item. I gave tariff classification for that item. I named Center on the excise details to yes. The reporting UOF was being selected from the list of unit of measures, and I made Center on the excise details to yes, and the applicable from date was given from 1st April 2014. The rate of duty is 12%. The percentage was specified and it has been saved. So this is how we will be creating the masters for excise. When we say masters for excise. Okay. So this is that. We shall next move to the next master. So as I told you, the third master would be ledger. We will be creating one ledger for a supplier and one ledger for the customer. So I'll go to account info, ledger, create, I'll create ABC suppliers and then something creditor. Enter all the excise details, yes, excise registration number, this is also again 15 digits, alphanumeric number, date of registration, importer exporter code, range, division, commissionerate, and what is the nature of purchase. So when you are purchasing from this person, will be a first stage dealer, will be a second stage dealer. If it is prefix, you can select it here. If it is not prefix, you can take it as not applicable. In transaction level, you can select the nature of purchase. So making this not applicable, I create one more ledger, PQR. So there are customers, so to just to identify LTV, customer. Under sundry data, so again here, sector alter excise details here. Range, division, commissionerate, and I will save it. So like this I can create it. So it's simple master creation. So I went a bit fast. So we have created the master. The next master we need to create the voucher type. Okay. So in the PPT we had seen a slide where it was mentioned that there should be an accounting of rule level invoice separately and a commercial invoice separately. Right? So we need to create voucher types for excise purpose. Okay, so a new voucher type can be created for excise purpose. So I am creating voucher type. First one, I will go to account info, voucher type, create. I will create one voucher type for excise purchase. And the purchase account. I will make use for excise to yes. Next I will create excise sales and a sales account. Use for excises, yes. Okay. Again I will create. It's similar, simple. I went to account info, I went to voucher type, I went to create. Next I will create excise debit note and a debit note. So use for excise would be yes. Next I will create excise credit note and a credit note. Use for excises, yes. Okay. So we made one voucher type for purchases, one for sales, one for debit note, one for credit note, we should also create one voucher type for receipt note, excise receipt note. This will be required only if there are import of goods and there is partial custom clearance. This excise receipt note voucher type would be used. If there are no import of goods, you need not have to create this. Okay. So I am creating this under receipt note. Used for excise, yes, and the excise unit will be listed here. Excise unit is a go down, which when you enable excise and create a book, that will be treated as one particular unit or one go down. If you want one more unit, one more go down should be created, which we will see it later. So I have accepted this. I'll go to, so we have completed with the master creation. We created a tariff classification, one stock item, a ledger, and 5 voucher types. So this is end of the master creation. Next we shall see about transaction. To begin with, we shall make a purchase transaction. I'll go to accounting vouchers, F9 for purchase. I'll select here excise purchase. I'll give supplier invoice number, date, and parties account name. I'll take my supplier ledger. You can give your excise details here, like supplier details, manufacturer or importer details can be specified in the supplementary details screen. Okay. Now, for example, your supplier is ABC, but actually the manufacturer of that particular good is XYZ. In that case, you can specify your manufacturer name, address, his excise registration details in this particular screen. I will save this. So next, it gives me the option of nature of purchase. So we saw the meaning of different nature of purchases. So all the nature of purchases will be listed here. So you can select the nature of purchases according to the user and invoice that will be received. So here, I will select it as manufacturer. On selecting manufacturer, my cursor moves to the next page, that is purchase ledger. So we should select in this case the ledger that is being created under purchase account with inventory enabled. Okay. So I do not have any purchase ledger in this company. So I am going to create it by using the shortcut key Alt+C. As a Alt+C from here, it will take me to the ledger creation field. So I am creating a ledger, purchase, under purchase account, inventory values are affected, yes, and I am going to save it. So my purchase ledger is created. So next, I need to move on with the item creation. So I just select item creation. We already have item. So I am just going to select the item from the screen. So I am selecting the item. I am called quantity is 100 and it is asking me for the rate. So rate I will get 6,000 per unit. So the value is 60 lakh rupees. So this is the value of my purchases, which also includes excise duty in it. So next coming is the excise details screen. So in this screen, the duty calculations will be shown. Okay. So when we take an excise dealer, as we discussed earlier, excise dealer will only pass on the duty. He is not going to charge any duty. That's the reason it is not mandatory to select any duty ledger in excise purchases or sales in case of a dealer. Okay, so that particular duty amount, it is not going to affect his accounting risk. It will just be passed on as it was paid during purchases. So it is not mandatory to select duty ledger as it is in case of other taxation modules. But if user requires, he can select the duty ledger. But one condition is that whatever the duty ledger selected in purchases, the same ledger should be used in sales also. Okay, I repeat, for excise dealer, since he is only going to pass on the duty, it is not mandatory to select duty ledger as if the amount specified is already inclusive of the excise amount. In case, if they want to account it separately, they can account it, but the ledgers used in purchases, only the same ledger should be used in sales also. So we'll proceed now. So So I will just save this. Okay, so my excise purchase transaction is being recorded. Next, I am going to make an excise sales transaction. Okay, so we have purchased it from the manufacturer and we are going to sell it now. So I'll make it sales, excise sales. Party is ABC supplier. Sorry, it's customers, no? PQR customers. I'll create another sales ledger using the same shortcut key, Alt plus C. I go to IM column. So here the purchase references. So as it was told earlier, the tally will take into account the tracking. So purchases to sales. So here the tracking will be available. So you can select the, say suppose I am selling only 500 units. I'll specify 500. Okay, and I have saved the invoice. Okay, it was very simple. We made a purchase and we tracked it and we made sales. Now, I'm just altering it. I'm making the quantity as well. Assume we are making sales of 1 unit. The rate is 1 lakh rupees per unit. Okay, I'll go to the invoice preview. So you can see here, quantity is 1 and the rate is 1 lakh, but excise duty of 12% is only 720. That is, the excise duty paid while purchasing for 1 unit of this item only will get carried forward, will get transferred, will get passed on to the subsequent person. Okay, so whatever may be your sales rate, whatever you have paid while purchasing as excise duty, only that amount will get passed on to the next person. Okay, another thing to note here is, I'll go to the invoice. This is a rule 11 invoice. It is meeting the statutory requirement, and the title of the invoice is first stage dealer. Okay, so the purchases is done from a manufacturer. When I'm selling it, I become first stage dealer. Okay, now I'll show you another scenario. We shall make purchases from a first stage dealer. Okay, I'm making a purchase from first stage dealer. Okay, you can specify your supplier invoice number, supplier's RP23D entry number. This is, and your just entry number in your manufacturer's PLA. So all those numbers you will get it in your excise invoice. So those details can be saved. So this is a purchase again. This purchase is a first stage dealer. So there is another purchase that is being done from a first stage dealer. Okay, this is done. Now I am making sales. Pick your customer. So the same person I am selling, but I am selling it I want our sales. I am repacking the purchase transaction. Nature of purchases, first stage dealer. So I'm getting two references here. Earlier there was a mistake with the supplier invoice date. So I'm getting two invoices here. So I'm selecting the purchases from first stage dealer to make save. So as soon as I select first stage dealer, I'm saving it. I'll go to the preview of this invoice. All save. To the preview, you can see the title of invoice will be second stage dealer now because this purchases was done from a first stage dealer. So Tally will make a regulatory norm wherein as per your purchases, the invoice title will also be changed. Okay. So this was the transactions we did, purchases and sales, and we saw how to generate rule 11 invoice plus Tally. When you go to the printout of the sales invoice, excise sales invoice, it will be a rule 11 invoice. Okay. Say suppose you are issuing a commercial invoice, you do not want to print it as rule 11 invoice, you can press Alt P, you can press F12, you will have an option print as commercial invoice. When you make print as commercial invoice to yes, the invoice will be in this particular format. Okay, it will be without much excise detail. Okay, so commercial invoice, all three, F12, we will have option print as commercial invoice. So we have finished the flow of purchases, sales, generating a rule 11 invoice and generating a commercial invoice from Tally. Next we shall see how to create an additional excise unit. Okay, so as we saw in PPT, we had provision in Tally, benefit and value of maintaining multiple excise units under a single company. So we shall see how to create it. So another unit of excise would be similar to your godown. So I'll go to F11, I'll go to inventor features, I'll enable maintain multiple godown. So once after enabling this, in gateway of Tally, in inventory info, there will be a new option called godown or excise unit. From here, the new excise unit can be created. I'll go to godown or excise unit. There is an option of create. I'll go to create. It will take me to this creation. Okay. So it's a normal godown creation with one additional option of excise registration type. So I'll create another unit, unit 2 under primary. This unit, it is asking whether it's a dealer unit or it's a manufacturer unit or it is a importer unit. So I'll select it as dealer unit. It will ask me for set or alter excise details. If I make it to yes, I'll get the same screen which we had got it in F11 statutory feature. So I'll give excise registration number, ECC number for this particular unit, excise control code for this unit. XT001. Date of registration, IEC code, excise book name. So you can create a book register. This is book 2. Okay, range, commissioner rate, those details and address can be specified. So like this, you can create multiple excise units in one company. But the thing to be noted is, for every unit, separate voucher type should be created, because in the voucher type, we are tagging it to a specific unit. Now I'll go to accounts info, voucher type, create. Here I'll create excise purchase for unit 2 under purchase. Use for excises, yes, and here default excise unit, 2 units will be displayed. One is excise for dealer unit, another one is a newly created unit. Okay, so like this, if you have multiple units, it will be listed. So you have to protect the voucher type to a specific unit. So I am selecting here as unit 2. Okay, so like this, you should create another voucher type for sales, for debit note, for credit note, and for receipt note also if it is available. So this is how the accounting of multiple units will happen. So first thing you have to do modification is with the voucher type. The second thing is with the stock item. When I go to inventory info, stock item also, you can see the duty we have specified with respect to one particular unit. For a second unit, again it should be selected below, unit of measure should be given, and the duty configuration need to be done. Okay, there are multiple units, 2 things to be followed. After creation, separate voucher type should be created, and separate voucher type should be created, as well in the stock item the duty percentage should be specified for that specific unit. So multiple units are being created, so you can make purchases and sales using this voucher type. Then you will be also be getting separate reports. Unit wise reports will also be available. So next we shall move to excise. We have already seen this excise regulatory norms, and we also saw how the excise regulatory norms are being met in Tally with respect to rule 11 invoice, with respect to headings of the invoice, title of the invoice, and also with respect to generating commercial invoices from Tally. We shall proceed further. The next we shall see about opening stock. Manage multiple units in single company. So this we have already seen. That is, in a single company we can have multiple dealer units, combination of dealer and manufacturer units, and facilitate unit-wise recording and tracking of transactions. So we just now saw how to create multiple units, how to create masters for multiple units, and we shall also get separate reports unit-wise in Tally. So next one is how to account in the middle of the year, excise opening stock, and how to carry forward the closing stock details after splitting the company. So in middle of the year, if the books of accounts are started in Tally, or you started maintaining computerized accounts, how do you bring the opening stock of the previous period without having an effect in the accounting report? Okay, so we shall first see with excise opening stock entry. If a new company is created, if books of accounts are newly started maintaining in Tally, the opening stock would be of a period that is previous for the book beginning period. The opening stock would be of a the opening stock of excise opening stock, and how to bring in the tax references in Tally we are going to see now. So first thing, we'll see how to make excise opening stock entry in Tally. I'll go to inventory info. If it is normal stock opening balance, you can go to inventory info, stock items also. Here, if it is your inventory opening balance, this can be provided. Okay, but if it is This particular opening balance will not be applying in excise report, and also you will not get a track of this in excise sale. Okay, because this is just tagged to the inventory master. In order to bring the excise reference to this particular opening balance which you have, excise opening balance entry should be recorded. So the navigation to record it, gateway of tally, inventory info, update excise info, dealer excise opening stock. So here it is a simple, a normal excise purchase screen. Okay, similar to excise purchase screen. But the difference between this voucher type and the normal purchase voucher type is that this voucher type will be optional in nature. It will not be affecting your accounting book. It will only be affecting your taxation report. Only your excise report it will be affecting, and excise sales linking would be coming from this transaction, but this transaction will not have any effect in the accounting report. So I'll give a supplier invoice number, a selected party name, nature of purchase, agent of manufacturer, purchaser, item, go down. See, only the go down that is tagged to this voucher type will be listed. I have saved it. Okay, you can fill in all these details and you can save this transaction. Okay, you can see when I go to display, when I go to daybook, this particular transaction will be optional in nature. Okay. Here you can give the dates of your supplier invoices prior to this period, maybe 30th of March you have got it. So like this you can 30th of March 2014. So you can give that particular period in which this particular purchases were done. This is optional in nature, but when we make save entry, we will get reference of the purchases. Here we are going to save. Selected cash. You can see here the rate of duty in stock item we had given from 1st April, but this supplier date and all we are giving it as March, hence the duty percentage is not getting calculated. I am specifying it manually, but if it is prior to it, it will get calculated. My supplier invoice date. Both the invoices are with same date, same number. So there was a mistake. Both the invoices are made same supplier invoice number. So now you can see here that agent of manufacturer, that reference will come here. Okay, so that optional transaction, it will have an effect in the sales, but it will not be affecting your accounting reports as it is made optional, as it is marked optional. Okay, this is a way of accounting excise opening stock where the company is newly created, accounts are newly being maintained and tally. So in this way you can do it. Suppose if accounts are already there in tally and the company is split for the next financial year, the accounting and inventory balances would be carried forward for the next financial year, but for the purpose of excise, the balances should be exported and imported again. Okay, so now we shall see how to export excise closing balance and import it to a new company or the splitted company. I'll go to Alt F3, split company, and I'll split this company. My company is split. Okay, the company is split. When you see, if we go to inventory info, stock items, also, the opening balance would have come to the stock item. But for excise, the balances will not get carried forward. So I'll go to a sales. Even though I have sufficient stock, I'll not be getting the references here. Okay. So for this purpose, what I'm supposed to do is, I have to export the closing balances of excise from this old company and import it to my new company. I'll go to Gateway of Tally, Inventory Info, Update Excise Info, Dealer Excise Closing Stock. I'll go to Dealer Excise Closing Stock. I'll press Alt E to export. I'll select the format. So I'll repeat it. I'll repeat the navigation. It's Inventory Info, Update Excise Info, Dealer Excise Closing Stock, Alt E. Format is default all languages. Format is XML data interchange. The file name is accounting voucher.xml. Open exported folder. Yes, open it. I will save it. So I have already a file with that same name, so it is asking me to overwrite and make it as yes. So this is got exported to my tally folder. I'll do the import now in the new company. I'll go to the new company. I'll change the financial period. I'll go to import of data, voucher. I'll specify the file name. And in import, I selected as Dealer Excise Opening Stock. Okay, you can see it has got imported. Now, there would be optional purchase transaction automatically created as Tally. Okay, we did it manually, right, when we didn't have data. Now, through export import, this will be created and you will be getting the tax references in the sales transaction. So this is all with opening balances of excise, where we had given the opening balances manually, and also we had exported the closing balance and imported it to the new company. So we'll go for the next one. The next one is managed custom clearance and AED or CVD. Okay. So as we discussed earlier, when the goods are being imported by the dealer or any person, it will be there in the customs warehouse, right? After paying customs duty, the goods would be cleared, would be sent from the customs warehouse. Okay. So similarly, in case of dealers, we shall see how to maintain the flow of transaction where goods are pending for custom clearance, or when goods are completely being cleared from the customs team, or when there is a conditional pass on of additional excise duty or CVD. Okay, CVD is countervailing duty. This countervailing duty will be applicable when goods are being imported. So I'll close the other companies. Okay, so we shall see about partial custom clearance, where the custom clearance is pending. That is, you would have got an invoice from the company, from your supplier, but the goods are yet to be taken out from the customs warehouse. In this case, there should be two transactions. One will be a purchase transaction, where in purchases you would be giving tracking number to account the receipt of goods, but the receipt of goods would be accounted using a receipt note. Okay, so I'll go to S11, I'll go to inventory features, I'll have an option, use tracking number, I'll make this option to yes, I'll create my stock item for import. Imported item number, tariff classification, unit of measure. So it's imports, no? That will be countervailing duty. It's the same stock master position. Education, set on CVD. Secondary education set on CVD. Okay. So I'm making purchases now. Nature of purchases imported item, tracking number, yes, I have to give the tracking number, 400 and go down, quantity 100, weight 100 and the amount. So after specifying this, I'll get the excise details screen. In this you can see there is a new option, that is custom clearance pending. Is it pending for custom clearance? Yes, it is pending. So as soon as I make it a yes, what will happen is all my duties will become zero, because custom clearance is still not happening. If custom clearance is not pending, then make it a no. So I am making it a yes. Okay, I am making it a yes. So this is being accepted now. So next we should see how to bring in this. Once the custom clearance is done, what entry should be recorded? Once the custom clearance is done, we should record a receipt note. So for this we had already created a voucher type, excise receipt note with excise enabled. I am selecting that particular voucher type. I am selecting the party's account name, purchase ledger. I am selecting the stock item. See, the tracking of that purchases comes here. So maybe I am not clearing the complete 10,000 units. I'm clearing only 5,000 units. So I'll give 5,000. So you can see there is one mistake in the stock item. Secondary education set. It should be secondary education set on CBD. It should not be normally secondary education set. Okay. So invoice bill number, I'll take a different number. This is your supplier PLA number. So what is this? Supplier transaction index is PLA. So I have created. So like this you can make, as and when you are receiving the goods, you can make the receipt note tracking the original purchases done with custom clearance pending inventory. Okay. So this is the flow of custom clearance. Okay. And with respect to conditional pattern of special excise duty, that is countervailing duty or additional duty in input, this will get passed on. This will get passed on if that option is enabled. I will go to the stock item, imported item, and I will add one duty classification. Conditional pass-on is available only for additional duty on imports. Okay, so I am giving it as 4%. I am making a purchase. I select it as imported item. Okay, when I am making sales, you can see when I select that reference, okay, so I'll get the option here. This additional duty on import is being passed on or not. Okay, if you want to pass it on, you can make it as yes. If you do not want to pass it on, you can make it as no. So this is how there will be option to select if additional duty on import is passed on or it is not getting passed on. Okay, that is with respect to the second point. Facilitate conditional pass-on of additional excise duty or countervailing duty, AED or CVD. We'll move on to the next slide. The next slide is about track item history of excisable goods. Okay, so as we discussed earlier, it is important to maintain the track of items, the track of nature of purchases. So this is a history of the excisable goods, the track that should be maintained. Okay, so the track of purchases made from this nature of purchases and the sales against this nature of purchases should be maintained. For this we have reports and tally where we can have this track. We can get to know from agent of manufacturer of this particular item what is the pending quantity of goods for which duty is yet to be passed on. Okay, and track sender credits of purchases till the date of time of sales, passing, termination of credit. Okay, so even this you can do it from tally itself. In the reporting part I will show that. Moving to the next slide. It is about excise report. Okay, so excise stock register. This report will give the details of excisable goods, and this excise purchase bill register. This will give purchase bill wise the tracking, and then we have custom clearance register. So it will contain the details of the custom clearance, passing custom clearance transaction in that. And sales and purchase extract. It is just an extract of sales and purchases. And then we have RG23D form, and this form is applicable, available all items and also for a single item. And then we have Form 2. Form 2 is a quarterly return form for excise dealer. Even this form, all these reports will get automatically filled in once the transactions are being recorded. So we shall see the reports in tally now. I am taking this transaction. Okay, we'll move on to the reporting part. From gateway of tally for report, I shall go to display, statutory report, excise report, dealer. So in dealer we have excise register, we have excise register. So excise register, when we drill down, we have excise purchase stock register. So as we saw in the PPT, we also get this unit wise, tariff classification wise, and then we can filter in for the stock item. So this contains the details of stock item, for how much quantity the duty is passed on, for what is the quantity duty not passed on. Those details will be shown in this particular report. Okay. And the next report is excise purchase bill register. Again, this gives me a detailed extract purchase bill wise about duty passed on and duty available. Next we have excise stock send-back register. So this gives the details of send-back available. It also has all items and also single item wise. And the next report is custom clearance report. So custom clearance report, it gives the details of the custom clearance completed and custom clearance pending. You can also see this PDF wise. And then we have extract report. So party wise duty extract. So this will give from a particular party what is the duty available with you. There is also actual configurations in each and every report specific to that report. So here we have show separate special excise duty column, show CEPSH column, range of transactions, you want only purchases or you want only sales or you want both. Okay. So like that in every report there are actual configurations. Okay. And next is sales and purchase extract. So this will give me an extract report of my sales and purchase return. This is also a quarterly report. And then we have RT23D. This is a form for the dealers. Again, this can be taken unit wise. The numbers what we give in the transaction RT23 number, those numbers will be displayed here. And next we have form 2. Form 2 is for excise dealer. That is a quarterly return form. You can see the preview of this form. It will be in this format. Okay. And we also have e-return of this form. That is e-return of this form 2, which should be done on a quarterly basis. Okay. So the next one is e-return. In e-return, in Tally it's very simple. With simple 3 steps, the e-return can be generated. The first step is the file should be exported. The XML file should be exported from Tally. The second step is from the excise department website, the schema file should be downloaded. And the third step is using the XML editor, validator, the file should be validated and it should be uploaded to the department portal. So we should now see the step 1. That is e-return. You can go here. You can go to validations first. If there are any errors in the transactions, like see here, for one item, the HSN code should be 8 digits, but the mistake are given 7 digits. So it will prompt the user that this particular thing is wrong. Okay, it's a check before you make the e-filing. No valid excise registration number. So here, for this party, the excise registration number that I have given is wrong. Okay, see, there is no validation. Now the errors are being cleared. It is being sorted out. The next would be export. Okay, so if you want to export the file, you have to go to export. You need to specify the file name, the format, and the location of export. I am giving some location for export. Okay, place is Bangalore, date is 30th of June. Okay, I am giving the file is got exported now. The file will be in this format. Okay, so I have exported this file. and the file will be in this particular format. Okay, this is the XML file. After exporting this file, you should log into the ACS website www.acs.gov.in. This is the Excise Department website. In this website, you should go to Downloads. In Downloads, click here to download the utility. So over here, there will be a schema file. The schema file should be downloaded. Okay, I am downloading the schema file. I will save it onto my Tally folder. Okay. That file that was exported from Tally is here. I am saving the schema file also to the same folder. Usually the schema file and the downloaded file should be there, and the exported file should be there in the same location. Okay, I am saving the save menu tab. Okay, I am saving the file. Okay, once this file is saved, it will be in a zipped format. Okay, so this will be in a zipped format. I am extracting this file. Once after extracting, one XSD file will be created. Extract here. Okay, in this XSD file will be there. Okay, this XSD file, you should place it in the same location where that exported file from Tally is there. This is the exported file from Tally, and this is the XSD file. Okay, so this is a step 2. You will download the schema file from the Excise website, and you will extract it and paste it in the same location where the exported file of Tally is available. After that, you have to edit it using the XML editor like Edit or Click Edit tool. So I have Edit tool with me. I am going to edit it. I am going to validate this file. Okay, so I am going to File. There is an option of New. This is the Edit tool. In that tool, this will be available. You can download it, edit it. The file, the tool name is. I'll go to File and go to Open. So here I'll open my Tally folder. This is my Tally folder. You can browse and select it, or you can give the file name. And then you have to select the XML file that should be validated. So once after opening the XML file, you can see it will come in this format. After that, this particular option below you, there is a ticked option. This option is used to validate. This is check or validate XML document. This is that option. Once when I click on this option, it will give the message your document is correct in case there are no errors in the exported XML. If there are errors in the exported XML, it will give the message as to which line there is an error and the specific changes can be done. So you can see here, I removed this number, 8-digit number from here. So it is telling me this is invalid. So I need to correct it. So line number, that line number it will be displayed. So this is how, once after this validation, this particular XML file, you should log into the Excise Department website with your login ID. With the login ID, the login should be done to the Excise website, and then the file can be uploaded. Okay, so this is the flow of excise for dealers in Tally. Okay, so we have come to the end of the session. In this, hope this information will be useful to you. You can also simultaneously record transactions and check the particular report. Okay. Thank you for joining the session. So we have completed with the exercise for data module. Next, we shall be starting the central sales tax in Tally ERP now. So I'm going to begin with central sales tax. So we shall begin with central sales tax. So what is central sales tax? Okay. So what is the applicability of central sales tax? When we say central sales tax, it is levied by the central government under the provisions of Central Sales Tax Act of 1957. Okay. This is a form of tax that is being levied as per the Central Sales Tax Act of 1957 when there are movement or transfer of documents of title of goods between two different parties who are residing in two different states. Okay. So when there is movement of goods from one state to another state, or there is transfer of title of goods from one state to another state, then the central sales tax is applicable. The benefits of the central sales tax is this avoids the cascading effect of taxes. The double taxation effect is being avoided in the central sales tax. So to begin with, what is central sales tax? So we already understood what is central sales tax, and next is CST forms. Okay, so we shall be seeing what are the various CST forms that are applicable and how to maintain CST in Tally. Okay, we'll proceed for the next one. Next one is CST forms. Okay, CST forms, or we also call it as declaration forms. There are various declaration forms. On the strength of this form, there will be a reduction in duty. Okay, so in case of interstate transactions, these forms will be issued. Coming to the first form, it is Form C. This form will be issued by the registered dealer at the time of purchasing goods. So this will be issued by the registered dealer. That is Form C. And the next one is Form E1 and Form 2. Form E2. This will be applicable when there is subsequent interstate sales. For example, when the goods that is being brought by paying central sales tax, it is being again sold to a person in a different state, then there will be even form applicable, and E2 form will be applicable when the sales is happening when the goods are in transit. In that cases, E2 form will be applicable. Okay, so with the use of this, the cascading effect of taxation is brought down. And next is Form D. Form D is being issued to the sales of government agencies. Okay. And next we have Form F. Form F is applicable when there is stock or branch transfer. When there is branch transfer, then Form F will be issued. And next is Form H, or it is for deemed export. We also call it as penultimate sales. That is, when the preceding sale is for the export, then Form H will be issued. And next we have Form I. Form I will be issued for special economic zones. And Form J is for United Nations and diplomatic missions. So these are the various declaration forms that is coming under CST. Okay. So now we shall begin with the product walkthrough. We shall see how to maintain CST in Tally. So I'm closing this dealer excise company. I'm creating a company. There is no separate module for central sales tax, but it is combined with that. To enable that, I'll go to L11, statutory and taxation, enable value added tax, settle all the VAT details and make it as yes. I select the state, MVO VSO code. This is for the state of Karnataka. Based on the state, these options will vary. Authorized person, status and designation, and place. So this thing can be filled in this particular screen. It is created. Again here I can go to quick setup, value added tax, and I can create my master, or else I can go to inventory info or accounts info and create the master. I'll create a master for purchases. I'll just create a stock item as books, units with number. If commodity code is applicable, those details can be specified. Okay. A simple stock item is created. Next, we'll go for ledger creation, master creation. The next master will be for purchases. I'll create a ledger. Purchases at the rate 2%. Against form C. Against form C. It is under purchase account. Use this VAT returns is S, and the VAT tax classification is interstate purchases 2% against form C. Next I will create sales at the rate 2% against form C. Like this, you can create masters of your choice. I will create sales account, sales at the rate, it is interstate sales. Interstate sales 2% against form C. So we have created purchases and sales ledger. Next we shall create input and output CST ledger. Okay. So the input CST under duties and taxes, type of duty taxes CST, and VAT tax classes, interstate purchases 2% against form C. Next I will create output CST under duties and taxes, CST, interstate, it is output CST 2% against form C. So input CST is for purchases and output CST is for sales. The input CST will not be getting any credit on the input CST, input central sales tax paid, because that will be paid to the state, which is a different state. So you will not be getting any credit for adjustment with the CST payable. But if you have any input VAT, the input VAT can be adjusted with the CST payable. The credit of input VAT can be taken for CST payable. So now to begin with, we will see how to make a purchase entry for CST. Okay. Since input CST, there is no credit, it would be treated like an additional cost of purchase. Making a purchase transaction. Purchases. I'm purchasing one book at 1,000 rupees. I'm taking input CST, that is 20 rupees. Okay. Form to issue is C-form. So what is the form number? You will get the forms later. So later when you get the forms, this details can be filled in. Purpose code. So what is the purpose of this purchase? Retail, manufacturer, mining. So you can select the purpose code. I have selected as resale. I have saved it. Okay. So now I will go to cost summary. You can see, even though the purchase value is only 1,000, 20 rupees is CST value, the item cost itself would be 1,020. It's because input CST is an additional cost of purchase. It will be added up to the purchase cost. Next, I'm making sales, party, sales. I'm selling that book at 5,000. I select output CST, it is 100. The form which we received is CFOR, form series number and date can be specified later. Okay. I will save it. So this is how purchases and sales will be recorded. So recording this, we have made one purchases and one sales. Now we have CST payable. So if there is CST payable, we need to make a payment entry. Okay, before that we can see the VAT computation. I will go to display statutory report. In CST there is no computation, we have only forms and reports. In VAT computation, if you want the CST transaction, you should press F12 and make show all VAT classifications to yes. If that is made to yes, then interstate purchases will be shown. For this, there is no VAT applicable. If you want sales also, show CST details should be enabled. Okay. So as of now, you have VAT payable of ₹100. We have VAT payable of ₹100. If the payment should be done for this amount, go to accounting voucher, F5 for payment, Alt S for tax payment. For CST, there is no autofill, so this will get de-highlighted. Select cash, select the CST ledger, and the amount should be specified manually. You provide details, the period from and the period to, type of payment, deposit date, DD or check number, name of the issuing bank. These details can be filled. So once after saving this, the payment would be okay. So I went to payment transaction. I'll delete it and repass it. I'll go to accounting voucher. All this CST payment. Autofill is no. Account is cash. And the ledger is output CST. And the amount is ₹100. Not specifying the amount, it will get paid. So this is how CST payment transaction will be recorded. Okay. So this is one flow of transactions. We did purchases, we did sales. We don't have any adjustments. Input CST, the CST paid on purchases cannot be adjusted with CST payable. So we have not made any adjustment and directly we have made payment. Okay. The next scenario could be you have some input VAT, the credit of input VAT on purchases, and that needs to be adjusted with the CST payable. So for this, the journal entry should be recorded. Before that, we'll make one purchase transaction with VAT. Sorry, with VAT. So I'll create one. I'll delete that payment entry which is made. We'll assume that you have CST payable and you have VAT input credit, so you want to make an adjustment. Okay? So that can be made in a journal transaction. For some case, there will be flags available. With voucher flag, you can do it. If not, you can make like this. Journal, debit, output CST, ₹100, and credit, input VAT of ₹100. Okay? So like this, if you have anything more, okay, if CST suppose was of a higher amount, balance amount could have been transferred to CST payable. So I am saving this and go to display, statutory report, CST report, VAT report, VAT computation. So you can see here, the CST payable is not there because we have made an adjustment. So this is how the input VAT can be adjusted with the CST table. So we have, it's very simple for CST. You will have one procedure, same. You will have payment and adjustment if input data available. This would be the nature of transactions in case of CST. If even and E2 forms are applicable, then in purchaser, you should press F12. You will have an option, activate even or E2. Okay? So you can make the transaction like that. C form and form to receive is even or E2 form. Okay, so whichever form is to be received, that form you can select it here. Usually even an E2 form will be accompanied with C form. So once after selecting a C form only, you will be getting the even or E2 form. Okay, for F and O, that even and E2 option will not come. So we have finished with the transaction flow. We shall proceed and see with the CST report. I'll go to display, statutory report, CST report. The first one is for receivables. Here we have group and ledger both. Okay. So what will happen is, you may do a sale, but you may get the CST forms at a later stage. So once you receive the form details can be mentioned here. Okay. So I'll go to okay, it was a cash sale. So I'm selecting cash. So now when I go here, I have an option here, date, particular, CST number, voucher type, voucher number, accessible value, CST amount, invoice amount, form type, series number, form number and form date. Okay. So once you get that form, you can press Alt S here and the form number, the series number can be mentioned from the screen. If you have multiple transactions you want to auto-select, there is an option of F5. Okay. You can also do from here. That is auto-fill. Okay. You can also print CST reminder letters from Tally. For example, if for this particular form your customer has not issued a C form, if you want to send a reminder to him, you can go to Alt C. You will have an option here, print reminder letter. This is not the outstanding reminder letter. This reminder letter is only to intimate the person that he has pending C forms to be issued to you. So you can press Alt C from here and enable print reminder letter to him. And next we have forms issuable. So forms issuable is, if you are pending to issue the form, those form details will be coming here. Once after issuing it, you can enter the form series number, form number and form date here. So I'll just here. So once you are sending this to them, you can also send it with covering letter. So when you press Alt P here, you will have the option print covering letter. If you make this to here, there will be one covering letter printed when you are sending the sales tax form to your supplier. And then we have ECSP form. So this particular ECSP form or CSP form, it will be different state-wise. So here for Karnataka state, we have online form, receipt form, interstate purchaser, interstate sale, interstate debit note and interstate credit note form. Okay, this is the XML form. For this case, it depends again on the state. And next we have CST register. In CST register, we will have the collection of the CST transactions. Like in sales register, the sales transactions will be available. In CST register, all CST related transactions will be available. There are two registers. One is for CST purchases, another one is for CST sales. So the accumulation of transactions will be available in this particular register. Okay. So these are the various reports available for CST in Tally. Okay. So hope we have come to the end of the session. Hope the session was informative and useful to you. you can record the transaction and check its effect in the various reports. Okay, thank you for joining the session. Have a good day. Thank you. Have a good day.